I don't believe it's possible to live well without eating well. Now, of course, this means different things on different days. But whatever the day, I want food that makes me feel good, not just when I'm eating it, but when I'm cooking it too. That's a big heap of gorgeousness there. Simply Nigella is about dishes that do just that. Recipes that relax and restore, uplift and enrich. And that's perfect. Food I've enjoyed with family and friends.
Amazing.
As I've settled into my new kitchen and where I am in my life right now. Come with me, if you will, to the dark side. And I mean dark. I believe with all my heart that what and how we cook can make us feel better and more alive.
Absolutely delicious.
And for me, a meal, however simple, is a celebration of life. And life is there to be celebrated. On mornings when I just need to grab and go, it's breakfast bars I want. I've made breakfast bars before, but these are breakfast bars 2.0. So full of seeds that you're going to start sprouting and packed with all manner of smug-inducing nutrients, which I won't go into. I need, for my breakfast bars, to consult my gum bagley section, as some friends of mine call it. And among other things, I will be requiring chia seeds, goji berries, and flax seeds. Bear with me on this. There's no sugar, flour or eggs in these breakfast bars, so you do need something to hold these wondrous ingredients together, and that something is the medjool date, the fruit of kings. Medjool dates have such a wonderful caramelly, treacly taste. The most divine edible glue I can think of. On top of that wonderful pile of torn dates, I need some cinnamon and a generous splosh of water. Might help this a bit. These need to bubble for a few moments, just until they're soft enough to be mashed to a rough puree with a fork. And now, everything else. Some oats. Some chia seeds. These help everything stick together. Plus, they're meant to be improbably good for you. And I'm using cocoa nibs, which give a rather tangy, sharp chocolate flavour and a lot of crunch. Cocoa nibs are really just cocoa beans fragmented. And now some flax seeds. I'm not just using masses of different seeds and other ingredients for the hell of it, but because I want the maximum contrast of chew and crunch in texture. I love the flax seeds. They give a rather gentle crunch. Now, a rather more boisterous crunch, my favourite seed of all, pumpkin seed. And now goji berries. I don't use them just because they're meant to be so fabulous for you, but because I find their colour immensely cheering. And some cornflakes. I'm using gluten-free cornflakes, not because I have anything against gluten personally, but because this makes quite a lot and I like to share them out. If it's gluten-free, it has universal appeal. Mix this together. I know it all sounds a bit Hessian weave, but if I didn't absolutely love the taste of these, I wouldn't be making them. And they are fabulous. Right, now tend to medjool. It is the most sensational, beautifully scented sludge. And in it goes. I'm going to glove up. The dates are hot and they are very sticky. What I like to do is make a batch of these at the weekend, and then I have fuel for first thing in the morning throughout the week. Now a bit more squidging. "30 minutes in a moderate oven, and then I will be blessed with 16 born-again breakfast bars. Also very handy for a packed lunch, and for me, fantastic for that 4 p.m. slump. I first had pork buns at a buzzing place like this in New York, and I just became obsessed with making my own. I think the best way I have of describing pork buns is to say, think belly pork burgers, and yes, every bit as good as that sounds. And I'm rather thrilled, though I say it myself, with my homespun simplified version. I mean, it takes a bit of time, but really very, very little work. I do get these soft steamed bao buns from a local Asian supermarket, but you know, I don't see why you couldn't just use soft bread buns. I mean, the important thing is the pork is just meltingly luscious. Okay, I'm gonna dig in. My hoisin braised pork belly and soft buns is a glorious and greedy DIY lunch for family and friends. The secret is in the prep. So the night before, I brine the pork belly in cold water, sugar and salt. I use a plastic bag as a receptacle for the marinade, and then I seal it up and pop it in the fridge for at least 8 hours and up to 24. So, all very easy. Being something of a pyrophile, I do like a dollop of fiery sauce in a pork bun, and my garlic, chilli and ginger sauce begins with 5 red chili peppers. They go in, seeds and all. I told you I liked it fiery. About a 10-centimetre length of ginger, peeled and cut up into chunks for more warmth. A couple of garlic cloves intensify the heat. And then seasoning, a teaspoon of fine sea salt, and then 2 of sugar to balance the heat. Some sunflower oil, the zing of the juice of a lime, and whiz to a puree. That's all there is to it. Then leave in the fridge overnight, taking it out to get to room temperature before serving. I'd only ever roasted pork belly, but there is another way. When you softly braise the brine-plumped meat, it is all succulents, every little bit of it. I braise the pork in a mixture of water and hoisin. Very low effort. But before I braise, I'm going to daub each slab with a bit of the liquid. And blitz it in a hot oven to help it on its way. It needs only 30 minutes in a very hot oven for the top to turn beautifully bronze. It's a thing of beauty, such an uplifting sight. I'm going to pour over the remains of the braising liquid, carefully missing the top. You know, the thing about the pork buns, like all sandwiches, it's all about the build. So into each soft bun, I pack a quivering slice of soft braised pork belly, a fiery daub of chili sauce, perhaps some extra hoisin, and of course some cooling cucumber and a tangle of spring onion. But the important thing for me are some sweet, crisp fried shallots. I have asbestos hands. It would be more sensible to wear gloves. So this is tightly sealed and ready to be sweetly braised while I can get on with frying the shallots. That goes in low and slow for another 2 hours. I use banana shallots, which are much easier to deal with than the little round ones. I slice them thinly and fry them quickly in hot vegetable oil. Once they're crisp and golden, I leave them to cool on a piece of kitchen towel. Gorgeous. Now, tempting though it is to start eating this immediately in its freshly burnished state, I find it makes my life easier to let it get cool and then slice it cold. Much easier for me to do since I'm a bad carver. And then I can warm it up in these lovely juices when the hungry hoards arrive. My pork bun feast is everything I like about having people over to eat. It's very laid back and relaxed, a lot of food, but more importantly, a lot of DIY at the table. That's to say, condiments and picky things, so everyone can eat how they want and what they want. The important thing is everyone has a good time, me included. OK, I'm going to park some here, and there's some spoons. I'm going to assemble mine. You can do yours differently. Yours, look how selfless you are.
They're doing it in a boy way. Then I'm going to coriander.
And then I'm ending on shallots. Oh, you see, this is...
Yeah, it's the garnish. Thank you so much.
Careful with the chilli.
Oh, I'm a bit of a chilli head.
I'm going in for a bite.
Absolutely delicious.
I come up with recipes in a number of ways, and the inspiration is often inadvertent. A case in point, I was lounging about reading, or rather rereading, a favourite book of mine, Home Cooking by Laurie Colwyn, much beloved. And anyway, I came across this description of one of her dinner party regulars, and it involves getting a chicken, getting it cut up, and then dipping each piece in mustard, which is flavoured with garlic and thyme and a pinch of cinnamon, and then rolls these in breadcrumbs and cooks them in the oven for 2 hours. And I found the idea of those flavours together really beguiling. My crunchy chicken cutlets is just an easy evolution, and now part of my repertoire. you find me happily absorbed, bashing a couple of chicken breasts into elegant escalopes or cutlets. This is disturbingly gratifying. But these are ready. A bit of calm now. Before they get their crunchy coating, I'm going to bathe them in Dijon mustard. Even though they get such a brief dunking, the mustard really seems to tenderize them and gives such piquancy. On top of the mustard, some cinnamon. One clove of garlic, just mince it in. And finally, 1 egg, just to bring everything together and help it stick to the chicken breasts. And I shall whisk these together. Ah, the gold and the blue. It's like the beach. And now in for a brief dip go these beautiful, look how thin, escalopes. This is so enjoyable. There's enough here to give quite a good thick coating. I'm going to leave these lying happily here while I go and wash my hands. This really is as easy as 1, 2, 3. We've had 1, the bashing, 2, the bathing, and 3, the crunchy coating. And this crunchy coating comes courtesy of cornflakes. I love the crumb you get from these. And now I massage and coax the cornflakes into crumbs. This whole recipe is a bit like being a 3-year-old, only better. I'm going to deepen the golden tan of the cornflake crumbs by adding some smoked pimenton or paprika. This adds a bit of heat, always good. So 1 by 1, these bathing beauties go into the cornflake crumbs to get crunchily coated. I find it easiest just to put each cutlet or escalope into the crumbs and then sprinkle or dust the top with more. And just carry on until they're thickly coated. While these chicken escalopes settle in their slightly fiery cornflake coating, I'll get on with my fennel, watercress and radish salad. First, a bulb of fragrant fennel, sliced as thinly as possible. If you want as clumsy as I am, you could use a mandolin, but I just don't trust myself with one. The same goes for the radishes, about 4 to 6 cut into thin discs. And a couple of handfuls of peppery watercress to line the plate, before showering the fennel on top. A squeeze of lemon, a pinch of sea salt, a trickle of extra virgin olive oil, and that's it. Right, I don't need much oil, and because these are so thin, I don't need much time. I'm ready to flip. And the outside is so crunchy. And they're done. A small readjustment of my leaves. And it's crunch time. A while ago, I compiled my chocolate cake Hall of Fame, though that's never stopped me making new ones. And the latest addition to this illustrious list is right up there at the pinnacle. And don't faint, but it's vegan. Now, I came up with it for a vegan friend of mine, but I've been making it non-stop ever since. And my dark and sumptuous chocolate cake is not only seductively simple to make, but it might just be one of the best chocolate cakes you have ever eaten. I start by making the icing. I pour 60 ml of cold water into a heavy base saucepan. Then I add 75 grams of coconut butter, which is different from coconut oil, though you could use marge. "50 grams of soft brown sugar gives a subtle suggestion of caramel that I adore. To get the slightly bitter edge I want, I add 1½ tablespoons of cocoa, plus 1.5 teaspoons of instant espresso powder. I bring all the ingredients to the boil and then turn off the heat before quickly adding some finely chopped chocolate. It must be good and dark. Nothing less than 70% cocoa solids will do. I give the pan a swirl to help the chocolate melt gently into the hot liquid. And then I whisk it all together until it's thick and smooth. Then leave it to cool while I get on with the gorgeous cake. That's 225 grams of plain flour, 1½ teaspoons of bicarb, ½ a teaspoon of free-flowing salt, and just as in the icing, 1.5 teaspoons of instant espresso powder. And a lot of cocoa, 75 grams. This is a very chocolatey chocolate cake. It's a two-stage affair, and the first stage is done. For the second stage, a lot of water, 375 ml. Now, this is a liquid batter, and that's what makes the texture so fabulous. I've got 75 grams of coconut oil. It would be 90 ml if it were liquid. And the thing about coconut oil is it's solid until the temperature is 24 centigrade, and then it liquefies. Just give this a little coax to help it melt. You can use any vegetable oil, but I find coconut oil really gives a wonderful crumb. And just as there was dark sugar in the icing, there is soft dark sugar here. 300 grams of it. I want 1.5 teaspoons of vinegar. The vinegar acts with the bicarb to make the cake rise and have a lightness, and this is very important since, of course, there are no eggs. And now it's just a matter of pouring the one into t'other. Quite apart from being seduced by the splendid squidginess of this cake, it's so easy. You can see why I wheel it out for every family birthday now. This cake needs about 35 minutes in a 180-degree oven, and then you just let it cool in its tin. Once it's cold, the icing will be at perfect consistency. I pour that on and then celebrate the cake's sumptuousness by sprinkling it with rose petals and pistachios. And now, a casual stroll to the oven. To finish the cake, I gently ease the icing to the edges. If you want to adorn it, now is the time. Strew joyously with chopped pistachios and dried rose petals, or whatever your heart desires. It needs to be left for 30 minutes to set, but that's a big ask. I'm hypnotizing myself here. Someone take me. Okay, hysteria has now set in. Okay. A lot of cocoa, 75, most of it on the counter. It was from here.